After another great weekend of college football, the Pac-12 Conference seems to be above and beyond the best conference in football. This past weekend, Oregon and Colorado, two heavyweights in the conference, headlined a game that most people thought would be a lot closer, but Oregon absolutely dominated Colorado. All everyone has been hearing the past few weeks is this Colorado hype from the media. I told everyone that I wasn't buying the hype and that Colorado would have 5 losses this season. When they played their first true tough opponent in Oregon this weekend, they looked absolutely horrible. And I'm not taking anything away from Oregon here because Oregon absolutely dominated Colorado. But this Colorado defense was absolutely dominated and couldn't stop the pass or the run. This offensive line didn't look great for Shedeur Sanders, not to mention him holding onto the ball for way too long and taking a lot of unnecessary hits. In this game, it seemed like Shedeur was flustered and all that celebrating went down the drain. And I don't want to hear any excuses about Travis Hunter not playing and the difference that he would have made. The fact of the matter is that Oregon broke up this Deion and Colorado honeymoon, and they look like one of the best teams in the country. Bo Nix is playing at a Heisman caliber level, and this defense looks phenomenal. Shedeur Sanders is a top 15 quarterback in college football, and you would have never known that after watching this game. Oregon is one of the most balanced teams in college football, and it's going to be fun to see what they can do the rest of the season. With this Pac-12 conference being so good, they still have such an uphill battle. They have a 3-week stretch where they go on the road at number 7 Washington. Then they play 16th ranked Washington State at home, and then to finish up this stretch, they go on the road at Utah. Not to mention they still play USC at home and then Oregon State at home. Another team that's dominating in the Pac-12 is the Washington Huskies, and they're led by their Heisman caliber quarterback in Michael Penix Jr. Penix is absolutely dominating this season as he's thrown for 1,600 yards, 16 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. It seems like through the first 4 weeks of the season, this Heisman race is down between Michael Penix and Caleb Williams. We hear all of the Oregon and USC hype, but Washington is a very underrated juggernaut in this conference. If Michael Penix Jr. can continue to perform at the level he's playing at, and Washington can keep picking up W's against key matchups in the Pac-12, Michael Penix Jr. has a very real shot at winning this award. But Washington still has to face 6 ranked opponents in their Pac-12 schedule. They'll take on Oregon at home in 1 week, and then their final 4 games of the season are all ranked opponents. On the road at USC, at home against Utah, on the road at Oregon State, and then finishing up their schedule, they'll play at home against Washington State. I would not be surprised at all if the winner of the Pac-12 has 2 to 3 losses. And then you look at USC in this conference. They struggled a little bit last week against Arizona State, but Caleb Williams still threw for 5 touchdown passes, and most people are picking USC to win this conference. And that's obviously because they have the best quarterback in college football in Caleb Williams, who's looking to win his 2nd Heisman in a row. His stats are also ridiculous. He's thrown for 1,200 yards, nearly completing 75% of his passes while throwing for 15 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. This dude is absolutely filthy. The glaring problem with USC that's going to hurt them in the future is their defense. Similar to last season, this team is heavily reliant on this offense's success to carry this team. Against a very banged up and weak Arizona State offense, this USC defense gave up 28 points. Not to mention in week 1, they also gave up 28 points against San Jose State. When USC starts facing these high-powered and explosive offenses like Washington and Oregon, they better hope that their offense can put up 50 to 60 points to contend with these teams. And USC is going to have their work cut out for them in the back half of their schedule. They still have 4 remaining top 11 opponents that they'll face on their schedule. In a 5-week stretch, they go on the road at Notre Dame, who's ranked 11th in the country. Then the week after that, they play Utah, who's ranked 10th in the country at home. 2 weeks after that, they play number 7th ranked Washington at home, and then 7 days later, they'll go on the road at 9th ranked Oregon. I know USC is a great ball club, but I have a hard time seeing them win all 4 of these games. Oregon, with the overall balance and domination they have on both sides of the football, I think will get USC on the road. But we can't forget about Utah. This team is still ranked 10th in the country, and they haven't had their starting quarterback Cam Rising the entire season. Not to mention the Utes have won the Pac-12s in back-to-back years. They're currently 4-0, and they're coming off a win against the 22nd ranked Bruins last weekend. It's been very impressive to see what this offense has done using their 2nd and 3rd string quarterbacks to pick up W's in Rising's absence. Utah, like they've been the past few years, aren't the flashiest team, but they play great defense and they can run the ball at an excellent level. I don't think the Utes will win this conference, but I could definitely see them being a 2 to 3 loss team that could spoil some of these bigger schools' hopes at making a college football playoff run. So definitely don't sleep on the Utah Utes. Regardless, now that the Pac-12 starts conference play, these games are going to be absolute fireworks, and I can't wait. It makes you wonder if the Pac-12 is going to regret splitting up this conference, as they have 4 teams currently inside the top 10 and 6 total ranked teams inside the top 25. Not to mention UCLA and Colorado are both borderline top 25 teams that were ranked last week. But right now, after what I saw last week and what I continue to see, I believe that the Oregon Ducks will win this conference. I believe that they have the best defense in this conference, and their run game and overall offense is good enough to dominate these teams. It's going to come down to the consistency and talent of Bo Nix when these games get tight in the fourth quarter. I'm Caden Kubler, and that's my take.